Imagine you're driving at night on a long, empty road. The hum of the engine is steady, the world is dark, and every few seconds, a traffic light appears in front of you out of nowhere. Red, yellow, green. Your foot hovers over the pedal. You don't know what the next light will be, but you know you'll move when it turns green. Now imagine those lights aren't on the road. They're in your life. Every promise you kept, every time you walked away, every time you stayed, every good habit that moved you forward, every bad habit that tripped you. What would change if you stopped waiting for green lights to appear and started learning how to catch them, earn them, and sometimes even make them? This is a story about catching green lights, not by luck alone, not by a grand miracle that chooses some people and not others, but by reading your life closely, acting with integrity when it's hard, and dancing with reality instead of arguing with it. When you do, red and yellow lights don't stay red and yellow forever. They mature into green. They become the proof that pain can compose into wisdom, that detours can become direction, and that a good life is not perfect, but very alive. Tonight, I'm going to talk to you like a friend in the passenger seat. I'll share the ideas behind the green lights mindset, and I'll also get practical. I'll ask you to pause and answer questions only you can answer. You and I are on a road. There's time. Let's drive. Matthew McConaughey wrote a book from decades of journals. Not a tidy list of rules, not a lecture from a mountaintop. A field guide he earned the long way, stumbling and recalibrating, making mistakes and making meaning. He calls those flashes of alignment green lights, the moments when life says yes. But here's the center of the promise. Green lights don't only arrive from fortune or perfect timing. They show up when you live in a way that invites them, when your choices leave fewer crumbs, when your word means something to you, when you trade the comfort of being impressed for the courage of being involved, when you keep driving when the light is yellow and you can see the intersection clearly, and when you brake at the red because you respect the rules that actually keep you alive. The book is full of stories, confessions, note-to-self lines, and a philosophy that sounds like a campfire, warm, a little wild, and honest. You'll hear themes like just keep livin', less impressed, more involved, don't leave crumbs, and the faith that red and yellow lights can become green with time and honesty. What can you gain if you really listen? Clarity about how you're steering your days, a way to measure your choices not by, did this feel good today, but is this true to who I am and who I'm becoming? You'll feel permission to be less perfect and more precise, to stop worshiping the image of a life and actually engage with the substance of one. You'll leave with a pocket full of tools you can use tomorrow morning. You'll also have a challenge, because a philosophy only becomes yours when you practice. So tonight isn't about admiring a famous person's stories. It's about turning those ideas into levers in your own hands. I will show you how to pull them. Let's begin with a simple picture. A green light is a yes from life. Sometimes it's obvious, a job offer that fits, a relationship that strengthens you, a morning run that gives you more energy than it costs. Sometimes it's subtle. You say no to something that looks shiny and feel an unexpected peace. You tell the truth and your shoulders loosen. You stay consistent long enough that an opportunity finds you working, not waiting. You accept honest red and yellow lights and let them incubate into green by refusing to waste them on resentment. One of the cleanest ways to start is to look at your patterns. The author kept journals since he was a teenager. He didn't just vent, he kept evidence. Moments when he felt aligned, times when he wasn't proud. He tracked what preceded the wins and what preceded the losses. Here's a practical way for you to apply that. For the next 21 days, carry a simple card or open a note on your phone. At the end of each day, ask, Where did I catch a green light? Where did I run a red? Where did I accept yellow with patience? Write one sentence for each. You will begin to notice cause and effect in your life. The conversation you kept putting off and finally had. The drink you said no to and slept better. The late night scrolling that stole your morning. The walk that solved a problem. Patterns don't lie. They will show you the truth you can use. You might be thinking, I know some of this. Here's the friction. Knowing is cheap. Owning is expensive. The first barrier is cynicism. The voice that says, this is just a story people tell after they've made it. If you hear that voice, honor it, but don't worship it. Ask it a better question. If you're so certain this is naive, where has that certainty gotten you? Has suspicion protected your hope or sanded it down to something small you can manage? A more useful attitude is curiosity. Try the patterns exercise for 3 weeks. Let the data of your own life argue with your assumptions. Another cornerstone of this book's approach is the line, less impressed, more involved. It sounds simple. It's not. Being impressed is easy and safe. It lets you sit back and clap. You admire success from a distance. You binge other people's highlight reels and call it inspiration. Being involved is different. It means stepping into the arena where you can be seen and measured. It means turning the energy you spend on admiration into action. Why does this matter? Because idle admiration is delicious but empty. It gives you the feeling of progress without the substance. Imagine you're starting a new project, a channel, a business, a new fitness plan. Less impressed, more involved means you spend less time collecting role models and more time making messy first attempts. It means you don't let awe paralyze you. You let it nudge you into motion.
What gets in the way? Perfectionism and comparison. The fear of starting small. The belief that if the first step isn't grand, it doesn't count. Here's how to beat that. Pick one area that matters this month. Define a minimum viable involvement. Not theory, a tangible daily or weekly action. 10 outreach messages, not reading about outreach. 15 minutes of practice, timed, not watching 10 tutorials. Publish something imperfect every week, not sitting on drafts forever. When you catch yourself drifting into fan mode, whisper the line out loud. Less impressed, more involved. Then put your hands on the work. Now let's talk about don't leave crumbs. Crumbs are those tiny remnants of choices you're not proud of. White lies, avoidable messes, promises you made casually and then broke. They don't seem like a big deal, but crumbs add up. You begin to walk slower because you're looking over your shoulder. You lose speed because you're carrying shame you don't need. A Greenlights life is not about being spotless. It is about being clean enough to move fast. Why does this matter? Because opportunities tend to favor people who are light on their feet. Integrity is aerodynamic. When you don't have to remember a tangled version of events, you can respond quickly. When your name means consistency, people hand you bigger responsibilities. What gets in the way? Short-term appetites. The mind's talent for rationalizing. The story that it's only this once. So, here is a practice. Before you say yes or no to something that smells a little off, ask your future self for advice. Imagine you from 6 months ahead writes you a text. Does it say, proud of you, keep going? Or does it say, you knew better? If you suspect crumbs, choose the clean path. If you've already left crumbs, sweep. Make the call. Admit the miss. Settle the tab. You are not punished for your honesty, you are freed by it. Then, watch what happens to your momentum. Another theme woven through the book is the value of voluntary obligations. We confuse freedom with having no fences, but many of the richest freedoms in life are inside well-chosen fences. The author shows how committing to values, routines, and relationships creates a runway for green lights. You agree with yourself about what you will and won't do. You set rituals that reduce decision fatigue. You pick a hill to take, and then you take it. Why does this matter? Because drifting is not the same as floating. Drifting is passive and usually ends somewhere you didn't intend to go. Floating is restful between strokes because you know which shore you're swimming to. What stops us from choosing obligations? Fear of missing out. The anxiety that commitment will trap us. Here's a reframe. The right commitments don't trap you. They channel you. They create a current that carries you through days when your mood is low. Pick 3 voluntary obligations for the next quarter. 1 for your body, 1 for your craft or career, 1 for your relationships. Tie each to a simple rule of life. Move your body before screens. Protect 90 minutes of deep work before communication. Give 1 hour of undistracted care to the person you love. These are not prison bars. They are rails that keep your train on track so you can gather speed. There's also a bold principle in the book about thinking for yourself. Call it outlaw logic if you like. Not lawless, but independent. It means you respect the rules that serve life and question the ones that only serve fear or laziness. You don't outsource your common sense. You don't rebel just to rebel, but you're also not hypnotized by how things have always been done. Why does this matter? Because conformity is cozy but expensive. It costs you originality. It costs you the ability to recognize a personal green light that looks like a red to the crowd. For example, stepping away from a path that everyone expects you to stay on can feel like a career crime. Yet sometimes it is the only honest move. Here's how to build this muscle without blowing up your life. Start by identifying areas where you have defaulted to the herd. Money, content, career choices, health. Pick one. Write down the rule you have been obeying without thinking. Then write your principle, something you believe that might clash with the rule but protects your values. If you're in a season where you need to say no in order to build something new, let your principle be, I trade applause for alignment. Practice breaking small rules to stay true to big ones. Do it with respect. Own the consequences. And pay attention to the relief you feel when your actions rhyme with your principles. Let's face a bigger one. Pivoting. There's a story in the book about stepping away from roles that were comfortable and profitable to pursue work that was more meaningful. That took time. It required saying no long enough to reset how the world saw him. This is not only an actor's story, it's a human story. Many of us get typecast by life. We build a reputation in one direction and feel afraid to evolve. The Greenlights approach says, be loyal to your essence, not to an old version of you. Why does this matter? Because staying in a lane that's no longer yours steals not only your energy, but your integrity. You become a polished version of something that isn't true anymore. What makes pivoting hard? Sunk cost, external opinions, immediate financial pressure, the temptation to grab the quick yes instead of protecting space for the right yes. Here's a way through. Name the season you're in. Are you in a harvest, maintenance, or build season? If you're in a build season, you will need to embrace strategic scarcity. Fewer projects, fewer social distractions, fewer easy wins. Replace them with deliberate practice, study,
and relationships that challenge you. Set a minimum period where you accept the tension of redefinition. During that time, when attractive but misaligned offers show up, politely pass. Your no might not pay you today, but it buys you the room to say yes to what you actually came to do. Another steady drumbeat in the book is the way solitude sharpens you. Periods of stepping away to listen, to stop performing for the crowd and remember your own voice. You don't need to leave your life to practice this. You need rituals of quiet. A day each month where you go off grid. A morning each week where you walk without your phone. A daily window of silence before the world wakes up. Why does this matter? Because in solitude, you can hear the signal with less static. You notice which desires are real and which are borrowed. You remember what you want before the world tells you what to want.
The barriers are obvious: busyness, stimulation addiction, the fear of being alone with your thoughts. The solution is simple and hard. Schedule solitude like a meeting with your future self. Put it on the calendar and protect it. In those windows, don't try to be productive. Try to be present. Ask better questions. What do I want to build this year that will still matter in 10? What am I pretending not to know? What do I keep doing that drains me even though I have reasons for it? Write your answers by hand. The page is a mirror that doesn't lie. Let's come back to momentum. A Greenlights life trusts the power of compounding. Tiny daily alignments that add up to large arcs of change. We underestimate what can happen in a year of steady attention and overestimate what can happen in a day of forced intensity. A practical way to harness this is to create a scoreboard that favors process over drama. Instead of asking, "Did I crush it today?" ask, "Did I keep the agreements? Did I move the ball? Did I leave fewer crumbs?" This is not bland discipline. It's self-respect, repeated. There is also a particular kind of bravery in this worldview. Not the Hollywood kind, the daily kind. It's the bravery to tell the truth even when you'll lose points. To accept consequences you earned and not make excuses. To laugh at yourself when you're taking yourself too seriously. To be decent when no one is watching because you're watching. Why does this matter? Because character creates green lights that credentials can't. People want to be in business with someone whose inside matches their outside. And your own life responds to you with trust when you act like someone it can count on. Maybe you're thinking, my lights have been red for a while. I've been in a season of loss or confusion or fatigue. This philosophy doesn't deny that. It looks it in the eyes and says, red lights have a purpose. They protect you. They tell you, not now, not like this. Yellow lights ask you to slow down long enough to assess. They invite you to see what you couldn't see at full speed. If you can resist the urge to force the green, you'll often find that red and yellow deliver gifts you couldn't have imagined. Doors close so better ones can be built. You release what you couldn't carry into the next chapter. You grow roots that can handle future weather. This is not a theory. If you review your life, you will find it everywhere. The job you didn't get that would have kept you small. The person who left and made room for a relationship that can hold you. The move you avoided that would have been a mistake. Let's make this actionable right now. Pick 3 green lights you want to catch in the next 90 days. 1 in health, 1 in work, 1 in relationships. For each, write a single sentence that describes what it will look like when it's real.
Then write what needs to be true weekly and daily to give it a fair chance. Not grand gestures, simple moves. If you want more energy, go to bed 30 minutes earlier and cut one evening habit that erodes sleep. If you want your work to advance, protect one deep work block before you open your messages. If you want your relationships to deepen, ask one meaningful question each day and listen without interrupting. Then, track it. Not with guilt, but with honesty. When you miss, don't spiral. Adjust the day in front of you. You're not trying to manufacture perfection. You're stacking probabilities in your favor. You're catching green lights. There's a soulful thread in the book about gratitude and joy as strategic choices, not decorative emotions. Just keep living is more than a catchy line. It's a practice of staying in the game with a bias for appreciation. Not toxic positivity, grounded gratitude. You notice what's working and you build from there. You celebrate the ordinary wins because they are the bricks of an extraordinary life. Why does this matter? Because you move toward what you appreciate. When you train your attention to find what's solid, you create a foundation sturdy enough to hold your ambition. What gets in the way? A nervous system used to scanning for danger, a culture that rewards outrage, a habit of catastrophizing. You don't fix this in one swoop. You retrain it gently. Keep a daily ledger of 3 satisfactions. Not vague, specific. The way the light hits your desk. The text from your friend that made you exhale. The promise you kept at 4 p.m. when you wanted to tap out. These are not small. They are currency. You use them to purchase a sweeter attitude toward your own life. There's also a hard-nosed practicality in the Greenlights approach about price and value. Sometimes you have to pass on the easy thing to make room for the honest thing. Sometimes the market will not validate you quickly. Can you withstand the gap between inner alignment and outer applause? That gap is where many people sell out or give up. The invitation is to hold your line long enough for the world to catch up. You're not indulging stubbornness. You're honoring design. When your yes and your no grow precise, you stop bargaining with your soul. Let's talk about relationships, because this isn't just a solo sport. Greenlights appear in how you treat people. There's power in giving others a strong yes or a clean no instead of a muddy maybe. There's power in being the person who shows up when you said you would. There's power in assuming goodwill until someone proves otherwise, instead of assuming harm and demanding they prove their innocence. Why does this matter? Because trust is a multiplier. Trust reduces friction. Trust turns partnerships into accelerators. Trust also weeds out the wrong fits faster. When you operate with clarity and kindness, people who can't tolerate that usually remove themselves. That's a gift. Barriers here include resentment, past disappointments, and your own ego. The practice is simple. Communicate early. Underpromise and overdeliver. When you mess up, own it fast. When others mess up, address it without humiliation. Make your home and your work a place where the truth is not punished. You will be amazed how many green lights appear when people feel safe to tell you the real story. Another practical lever is the way you set expectations with yourself. The book is honest about ambition. Dream big, but match your dreams with systems. Don't just want it, design for it. If you want to be in better shape, wanting it is the spark. Systems are the oxygen. If you want to write, Wanting it is the wind. Systems are the sails. You craft your environment to make the right action easier than the wrong one. Lay your clothes out at night. Set your coffee machine. Block your calendar so other people's urgency doesn't eat your priority. Put your phone in another room during your best hours. Let your surroundings conspire in your favor.
Adapt a vibrant and clear delivery that brings the story's imagery to life. The pace should be measured and rhythmic, allowing dramatic moments to land with force and quiet moments to feel intimate. Infuse key phrases with purposeful energy and a hint of steel, reflecting the defiance of the characters. Speak with authoritative, yet personal tone, as if you are a witness to these events, sharing a truth that must be remembered. A final idea before I speak to you more personally: identity. Greenlights aren't only about outcomes, they're about becoming someone you trust. When you stack days where your actions rhyme with your values, you create a self you admire. That is the most fertile ground for greenlights I know. From that place, success is not a costume you wear. It's a trail you leave. And failure is not a verdict. It's a lab result. You learn, you iterate, you keep going. So let me sit closer to you for a moment, one person to another. I don't know your exact story. I do know what it's like to run on fumes and pretend you're fine. I know what it's like to be praised for something you're not sure you want to keep doing. I know that standing in front of your own life and telling the truth can feel like grief and relief at the same time. Maybe you're at a yellow light. You can feel that something needs to change, but you're not sure which direction to take. Maybe you're at a red light. Something ended. It hurts. You're tempted to numb out until it passes. Or maybe you're at a green and you're scared of your own momentum, worried you'll lose what you've gained. Wherever you are, here's my challenge. Pick one insight from tonight and act on it today. Not tomorrow when you feel more ready, today while your courage is warm. If your life is crowded with crumbs, sweep one of them. Make the confession call. Send the apology. Pay the tiny debt. If you've been more impressed than involved, pick one micro action that moves your project forward and do it before you watch another tutorial. If you've been obeying a rule that isn't yours, write your principle and take one respectful step that honors it. If you're thirsty for quiet, schedule a 30-minute walk without your phone and keep that appointment like you would keep it with someone you admire. If you need a pivot, say no to one tempting but misaligned offer and yes to one investment in the future you say you want. None of these will solve your whole life in a day. They will do something better. They will change your posture toward your life. You'll feel your hands on the wheel again. And as you do, notice what lights begin to change color. Notice how the world seems to help the person who is helping themselves. Notice how your mood follows your integrity. Notice how you sleep better when your decisions are clean. Notice how people respond to a clearer you. Not everyone will like it. That's fine. You're not auditioning for universal approval. You're aligning your actions with your values and letting the results compound. Let's land the plane. A Greenlights life is not a fairy tale. It's a craft. It's the craft of attention, honesty, commitment, and courage. You catch green lights by earning them with your daily agreements. You turn red and yellow into green by converting pain into pattern recognition and patience into power. You stop waiting to be discovered and you decide to be dependable. You stop collecting rules and you start writing principles. You stop needing it to be easy and you get good at doing the next right thing.
Here's the takeaway I want you to carry out of this video and into your morning. Momentum favors those who move with integrity. Your life is not a slot machine. It's a garden. Plant where you stand. Water what you want to grow. Pull the weeds of dishonesty and avoidance. Protect the sprouts with small daily choices. And when the light turns green, don't hesitate. Go. Because green lights are not just found, they are made. They are the reward for alignment. They are the echo of choices that rhyme with who you are and who you're becoming. So go catch yours. Less impressed, more involved. Don't leave crumbs. Keep the faith that red and yellow can mature into green. And just keep living.